Thank you for waiting. We'd like to start the afternoon session. The first session in the afternoon will be entitled Overseas Cooperation of Japanese Companies and Technologies. JICA has been making various efforts to contribute to solving environmental issues in developing countries, including climate change, and to support their sustainable development by utilizing Japan's excellent products and technologies. The Ministry of the Environment and other ministries in Japan are adopting model projects overseas and creating a framework to support the activities of private companies that are actively expanding overseas. In addition, local governments are also supporting public and private companies' assistance to developing countries through intercity cooperation with foreign countries. In this session, we would like to introduce JICA's initiatives and discuss the possibility of future collaboration with the Ministry of Environment and the City of Yokohama, who will introduce their own initiatives and offer suggestions to JICA. So first of all, we would like to invite Ms. YASUYO OKUMOTO, Private Sector Partnership Division, Private Sector Partnership and Finance Department, JICA Director. Also, Mr. Yoshihiro Mizutani, Ministry of Environment, Director for International Cooperation for Transport, Transition to Decarbonization and Sustainable Infrastructure, Global Environment Bureau, and Mr. Noriaki YOKOUCHI, Development Cooperation Department, International Affairs Bureau, City of Yokohama, Director. And then we also have a Q&A session after the three presentations. So during the presentations, please write in the chat box your questions if you're on Zoom, and please also cite your name and affiliation. When you're in the venue, please write your question on paper, and if you raise your hand, the secretariat will come and pick it up. So I'd like to ask Mr. OKUMOTO to start.
Thank you for the introduction. I'm with the Private Sector Partnership and Finance Department of JICA. My name is OKUMOTO. I'm pleased to be here. Today, I'd like to talk about expanding Japanese companies' technologies to partner countries, talking about the JICA SDGs business supporting survey or operations. So, products and technologies of Japanese companies, how to use that to solve problems in developing countries. So we like to talk about this JICA's program for that purpose. So this is today's presentation outline. So using Japanese technology and products, how to deal with issues in developing countries. So JICA has decided to conduct this program, and it has expanded this program. So I first explain the background of this program, and then what is this program? I will explain what kind of support is provided. Then finally, JICA Clean initiative is aiming for clean cities in developing countries. So to achieve that, how have companies used this program to contribute toward that goal? So we show you three examples. In Kenya, using recycling used plastic bottles. That's the first one. Second one, the waste storage system in Bangladesh. And third is pavement recycling technology with asphalt waste in Indonesia. So JICA collaborating with Japanese companies. This program, how it started, how it expanded, I'd like to explain that background. And as you know, so the funding that is going into developing countries, the percentage of ODA in the total is declining year after year. So private funds accounting for a larger portion than before. And so ODA should collaborate more with private funds. in order to have impactful operations in developing countries. So JICA, previously we have worked with counterpart countries, but we now work together with companies and work on market-based solutions. We feel that that is necessary. So this graph shows until 2050 the forecast of GDP growth. As you can see, the high growth countries are Vietnam, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Philippines, Nigeria, Egypt. So the countries that will lead economic growth in the world are in ASEAN, South Asia, and Africa. That is what is expected. So together with economic growth, the markets in these countries are and will be expanding. In addition to that, in these countries, they are still developing and they're confronting various issues, and they will confront more issues. So people talk about leapfrogging. So they don't have the existing infrastructure. So new innovative services can be disseminated much more rapidly in these markets. If you look at the upper right, the photo there, it's a very famous example in Kenya, M-Pesa. So M-Pesa, Safaricom, a telecom company in Kenya, and Vodacom of South Africa, these mobile operators introduced this for payment and the microfinance using mobile phones. In 2007, they started the operation, and currently they have expanded users rapidly. 80% of adults are said to be using this service. And based on the success in Kenya, they've expanded to other African countries and also South Asia and also Europe. So they've expanded the reach into those markets. So this kind of rapid dissemination that is possible only in developing markets. So doing business in developing markets, it'll be an opportunity for innovation for Japanese companies as well. I think that's what can be learned from this. Next, please. Also, recently, work on SDGs is spreading in Japan. So in order to have sustainable business, social contribution is essential, and many companies are starting to share that thought. So SDGs is not just about the developing countries, but toward achievement of SDGs, according to UNDP survey, $5 to $7 trillion will be necessary. Also, in terms of investment opportunities, it will be more than 1 trillion in developing markets and developed markets, respectively. And the market opportunities that will be realized as a result of this, it will be 10 times larger. So working on social issues will create markets and employment. That is expected. So in this kind of environment, at the Japanese companies and at Japanese financial institutions, they're trying to increase their activity in enhancing social contributions that they make. So, as I have explained, JICA, we have programs to contribute to the developing countries, and we feel that the partnership with private sector is essential. And for Japanese companies, for sustainable business development, developing countries are important as markets, also as a place to realize innovation. That importance is expanding, and so a business community as a whole is trying to work more on social contribution and or to solve social issues. So through business, they're working to resolve social issues using their strengths, and that will be meaningful for both parties. And so JICA has this support program for the SMEs. The JICA SDGs business support operations. So as you see, for many years, we've been operating in developing countries. And so we have a lot of information about these countries. And also we have connections with public entities. And also we have a network of experts. Now, companies, they have technologies, know-how that they've accumulated, and they have also ideas and funding for future business. So by combining all of this, we can contribute to solving issues in developing countries. And so we started the JICA SDGs business supporting survey from 2010, which has continued to this day. So I've been explaining about the background. So before talking about the specific case studies, I'd like to briefly look back on our achievements to date. We started the program in 2010. 1,389 projects have been adopted and conducted, of which about 1,000 are based on proposal from SMEs. And for companies that have completed this project, we do a questionnaire survey. 30% say that after the project, they gave up entering the counterparty market, but the remaining 70%, they already have sales revenue, or they are still searching for considering continuing business there. So what is this operation? In 2010, we started this, and it's been 10 years. And there has been issues about the usability of this and the significance of JICA doing this. There's been a lot of debate around those points. And so this fiscal year, we have updated the system. And so I'd like to explain about that. So companies, when you consider doing business in developing countries, as you see on the top part of the slide, you would first do initial information collection, and then you have business hypothesis, and you look at the needs and see whether that's compatible with the solution. And then you will consider whether it can be commercialized and you can generate a profit and you can establish operations. So I think there are many phases to your studying entering these markets. So based on that, we have two schemes to support the survey process of companies. So in the initial survey phase, we have the needs confirmation survey. So this is about 8 months. And so the companies can survey the needs in the market and see whether their services or products are compatible with the market. So this aims to establish an initial preliminary business plan. So companies that have been adopted, JICA would support the survey fee traveling to the market, and also there'll be support from the consultants to assist with the commercialization. And then lower right, we have this other operation. So the initial information collection, if it's already done by the companies and they have a plan to expand business, then they want to know if their products or technologies will be accepted in the market, what will be the profitability, and whether they can secure local partners. So if they're at the stage where they're putting together a detailed business plan, we can support that as well. That's titled SDGs Business Validation Survey. That would go on for about a year and 4 months, 16 months. And so survey fees will be provided, and also there'll be support from consultants, similarly to the upper left program. But it's a little longer and larger sum can be provided. So these systems, well, it's being renewed this year. So we are working to apply this to the first companies. So early next fiscal year, the surveys under the new scheme will start. So next fiscal year, solicitation for that will happen around summer of next fiscal year. Next slide, please.
So, in addition to the support of these companies, we call a corporate co-creation platform where private companies, financial institutions, academia, local governments, various support institutions, overseas donors, NGOs can actually participate, where they will be able to share information and insights. So we just started this. So information will be provided through email magazines. Also, we want to create opportunities for networking and exchange. For example, for a company who was surveying to go out into the Thai market, they had this request of wanting to hear from peers who were already considering going into the Thai market. And so that kind of exchange could happen on this platform. So if you are interested, details are here. So you can register with our email magazine, and you can also befriend us on our Facebook. We also have a Twitter account as well. Next, please. So with regard to the scheme, what are the benefits of Japanese companies participating in this scheme? So there are three major points. Number one, in many developing countries, we've actually been active for a long time, so we can provide the information and the network already there. Especially, if you're just one individual company, it may be difficult to contact someone in administration. So this scheme is a way in. So some companies have responded that that was a great benefit. Secondly, business advisory from consultants. So that can be provided through the scheme. And then also, in addition to that, we could draw a logic model together with the companies in bringing an idea to fruit. And then the third point, this could be with regard to during the survey or post-survey, the PR activities can be supported by us. So what the company is doing, the products and services that they're trying to bring to other markets, we will be able to perform PR activities so that we can help the company expand their business opportunities. Thank you. Next, please. So what are some specific products and technologies that have been adopted? So I'm going to describe this in 2 slides. And we've gotten a lot of proposals relating to all of these SDGs. So goal 7 and 13 relate to the first one. This is related to environment and energy. So CO2 emission monitoring system, or rainfall monitoring system, and renewable energy related projects have happened. And then if you go to the very bottom, this is related to goal 13 of SDGs related to climate change. And something that would contribute to that will be for disaster preparedness, like alarms or disaster relief equipment, and multifunctional filter sheets. There's a photo of that on the very left, but those are some of the examples. So the SDGs Business Verification Survey, by utilizing this, a clean city initiative were undertaken in the following 3 examples. Number 1 was in Kenya, PET bottle recycling. This is from Tobei Shoji Company. In Kenya, about 40,000 tons per year of PET bottles are manufactured, but most of them are discarded after use. So they are not reused in Kenya itself. And they have not been able to advance the recycling of such disposed PET bottles. So with that as a backdrop, the Kenyan government have legislated a national policy on waste and management. So the proposal here coming from this company is to wash and recycle used PET bottles. So they will process PET bottle flakes and they would wash that to produce PET pellets that have more value add. So the amount of waste can be reduced, and then it can also be reused for as material for plastic products. So Toby Shoji Company, have cooperated with the Jomo Kenyatta University in Kenya, and they have actually operated this system in Kenya, and they're now currently underway in terms of verifying this. Next, please. The next example is from Bangladesh, Dhaka. J-Drum is actually a waste compression system, and this is from Japan Clean System Company. So similar to other developing cities, in Dhaka, they have a lot of issues with relation to how they can handle the waste and garbage coming from cities. So it could be inefficient system. There could be maybe odor and also waste sewage leakage as well. So these are the various issues that they wanted to handle. So Japan Clean Systems have a compression and storage system of garbage. And this was proposed to be used in local municipalities and also in multiple family housing. And they surveyed how this will be feasible. They can compress garbage and it will be able to prevent the odor. This is very viable for urban areas where the space is limited. And through the use of these products, the local governments can make their garbage collection system much more efficient. Next, please. This is the last example in Indonesia. And so this is using recycled asphalt from asphalt wastes. So a survey was done to implement this. And this is an example of Sugawara Industry Company. So in Indonesia, they lack the funds to actually pave the roads sufficiently. And also there was poor quality in the pavement that they performed before. Also, there's wasted asphalt lying around and not treated. So Sugawara company decided to bring in their waste asphalt recycling technology so that it's more efficient and more safe to pave the roads in Indonesia. So this company, Sugawara Industry, actually created a recycling plant in Indonesia and have expanded their business along the way. And they switched the fuel to biomass and also some additives for recycling have been switched to local procurement as well. So today we focused on case studies related to waste and waste treatment. But other than this, there are various other companies related to garbage treatment or air or water pollution technologies. And in that, there could be in the JICA Clean Initiative, heightening the analysis capability of waste. That is one of the initiatives in that. So analyzing polluted materials can also be included in this scheme. So as we pursue the JICA clean initiatives, we are looking to the Japanese companies who have good technology. And also, as I mentioned in the beginning, right now, since the developing countries are a place to create innovation, what you bring to the overseas nations may be reverted back to Japan for further development of our country as well. So JICA would like to continue to support the overseas government initiatives, but through this initiative, we would like to disseminate the products and technologies that Japanese companies have and to promote their opportunities. So in order to create clean cities in developing countries, we will be supporting policy, and we would also like to have synergy by inviting the Japanese companies to bring their technology and insight along. So if you're interested, please let us know. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Okumoto-san. Next is Mr. Mizutani, please. Thank you for the introduction. I am Mizutani, Director for International Cooperation for Transition to Decarbonization and Sustainable Infrastructure, Global Environmental Bureau, Ministry of Environment. Today, I'm pleased to be able to introduce some of the initiatives of MOE, Ministry of the Environment. With JICA, in order to promote international environmental cooperation, we are working together closely. Well, this is the second time I serve in this director's position, but in the previous time, 5 years ago, I've been always working with JICA, and for specific projects in local areas, it seems that there is more progress since then today, so I'm looking forward to closely working together with JICA. Today, from the Ministry of Environment, regarding urban areas and the private sector companies, I would like to introduce some of the initiatives. Before I start specific discussions, let me go through some of the philosophical ideas that the Ministry of the Environment has in promoting these activities. We have upstream and downstream. In the G2G policy dialogue, we are promoting this with several different countries, and through these dialogues, we make sure that the other countries, their policy needs and infrastructure needs are well understood by the Japanese government, so that based on that, we can provide necessary support. And for infrastructure, we can implement something like FS, feasibility studies. And eventually, basically with JCM, when these projects start up, for example, for waste management and reduction, we have an end-to-end approach to see this outcome. Having said that, the ministry cannot do this all along. That's why we need support from JICA and other organizations and the businesses in the private sector. As the Ministry of the Environment, our target can be waste or renewables and energy saving, and also jokaso or waste management system, sewage management system. And we provide solution to these different countries, and on a policy level, and also the actual practical level, like studies and surveys and actual projects, we are promoting these activities. Now, in terms of the support to private companies and cities, this is one of the things we are doing, starting with cities. Well, the GHG emission share by cities is about 70% of the total emission. So for the reduction of GHGs, and mitigating the impact. Cities are at the forefront in that sense. Therefore, it's very important to focus on cities. And as the national government, we make sure that the cities are focused on decarbonization as well as infrastructure improvement. And we are here to support different cities. And also we promote and coordinate city-to-city collaborations. Those are important roles of the national government. Before we go to international discussion, I'd like to mention some things about the domestic efforts. In June 2021, the decarbonization roadmap was announced. And cities, private sector companies, and other stakeholders, they work together on decarbonization. And the idea is to promote several leading areas and geographies who are making commitment to 2030 decarbonization goals. And we are selecting 100 eventually. And so far, we have selected 46 as leading areas of decarbonization. So these are leading decarbonization areas and initiatives based on the roadmap. By promoting those, we can get a lot of learnings. So capitalizing on those lessons, we are promoting city-to-city collaboration with overseas countries. At the Ministry of the Environment, since 2013, Japanese cities and partner cities in developing countries, we are promoting sisterships and a collaboration between them to promote decarbonization. Through these activities, we make sure that in promoting decarbonization, the partner cities can put together the necessary infrastructure and get the necessary know-how and insights from Japanese cities. And the Japanese cities, they have local entities, companies in local areas, so they have technologies for decarbonization and they have solutions. So the technological transfer is being promoted at the same time. Through these initiatives, for example, the partner cities, if they declare net zero and make commitment, and this is something we are promoting, there is a decarbonization domino effect, and that's what we are trying to promote. So far, over the last 10 years, we have been promoting city-to-city collaboration program. 13 countries and 45 cities have been covered so far in our collaboration efforts. As I said at the beginning, city-to-city collaboration is promoted, and while doing this, we are trying to put together the necessary infrastructure for the environmental protection. So far, with 6 countries and 23 GCM projects, these were nominated as city-to-city collaboration programs. So those cities involved in these, they are also keeping attention to JCM in promoting city-to-city collaboration. The local governments are aiming at the JCMs. So the JCMs through city-to-city collaboration tend to have high quality and much sophisticated details. That's why the ministry would like to support these activities even more. So about city-to-city collaboration, and there are some involvement of JICA projects. So one is with Yokohama City and the Bangkok metropolitan area. Well, JICA is promoting collaboration with Yokohama City and Bangkok, and for the formulation of a climate change master plan for Bangkok. And based on this plan, there are several initiatives which are supported by the Ministry of the Environment as one of the city-to-city collaboration projects. and also Iskandar, Malaysia. This is based on SATREP's project between JST and JICA, and specifically for the Low Carbon Society Blueprint 2025. And under this, there are several projects. And with Kitakyushu City and Toyama City, they are helping those projects under the sponsorship of the ministry. For the upstream, JICA works on the upstream part, and then Ministry of the Environment takes care of the downstream. Next is about waste management by cities. And the JICA and the Ministry of the Environment are working together, and for African Clean City Platform, ACCP. Back in 2016, TCAT generated this project. It says clean city. That means the aim is to make clean cities. In those days, the Vice Minister of the Environment, regarding this clean city, this is about the head of the regions of for them and the citizens of the partner cities. This clean city is something that they can be proud of. That's why we use this term for the projects for the African cities. And basically, this will to address to the waste management issues, and African countries can receive know-how knowledge from Japanese cities and for waste management, and promoting investment in these facilities. Fortunately, 43 countries and 160 cities of Africa became the members. Other than the Ministry of Environment and JICA, we have City of Yokohama, UN Habitat, and UNEP as members of the initiative platform. And based on top of the training programs by local cities in Japan, there are different programs provided by JICA as well. So far, I talked about the city-to-city collaboration and ACCP for Africa. But today, in the blue stage, in the opening remarks, our Mr. Matsuda from our ministry made some comments about the urban issues facing various urban areas in the world. And a Japanese Ministry of the Environment would like to contribute to the resolution of these issues. And our past activities like city-to-city collaboration and ACCP, as well as a Clean City Initiative by JICA. Based on these experiences, moving forward, we would like to promote Clean City Partnership Program, expanding the scope of collaboration and providing comprehensive frameworks. And this program, as you can see, is made up of local cities, private companies, and financial institutions. Already, city-to-city collaborations are being happening in different areas, but we work together with these stakeholders so that in each of the partner cities, we can address pollution, climate change, and other issues. And regarding the environmental challenges, and while we provide comprehensive support. Right now, for the April ministerial meeting and the G7 meeting in April this year, we are now making preparations, and we are trying to collaborate with like-minded agencies in different countries. So towards the resolution of the issues in cities, we would like to expand the scope of our collaboration going forward.
So we've been focusing on cities up to this point. From here, I'd like to talk about collaboration with private companies. So private companies initiatives, how MOE can provide support to them through various programs. Is what I explained. So first, JPRSI, Japan Platform for Redesign Sustainable Infrastructure. So as you know, the Japanese government as a whole is working to promote the overseas deployment of various infrastructure, especially those that contribute to decarbonization. So government has decided to really focus on the decarbonization. And the Ministry of Environment is working on environmental infrastructure and supporting private companies who are deploying such things overseas. So in 2020, we started this platform, private and public platform, and nearly 500 entities have joined the platform. And as part of our activities, in middle of January, in New Delhi, in India, there was a Japan-India Environmental Week. We held seminars and exhibitions by companies, and in those events, we did business matchings and networking. Next, I talk about the joint crediting mechanism, the JCM. So this would be Japanese companies making investments, and through that, superior decarbonization technologies and infrastructure will be disseminated. And we will reduce GHGs in the partner countries, and then there will be credits generated, and that will be shared to Japan, or between Japan and the receiving country, and to contribute to the NDCs. So 25 partners we have formed partnerships with so far. So last year, cabinet decision was made to increase this to about 30 countries by around 2025. It's important to increase the number of countries. At the same time, it's important to make sure that the JCM projects are carried out in a steady manner. So we'll continue to work on that. And through JCM, we work on renewable energy and industrial energy and urban energy, enhancing energy efficiency. Also, we work on waste energy. Or in the field of transport, we have projects. So renewable energy and energy efficiency, through these projects, we aim to reduce GHGs. We have so far provided support to about 230 projects under this scheme. I give you some examples. This is in Thailand. So using biomass and from industrial wastewater, there is a biogas generated, and so you combust them together to generate energy. So next example, city of Yokohama, or Yokohama Water, 100% owned by city of Yokohama, and Danang City, their waterworks, they have collaborated and introduced high efficiency pumps. This would be city-to-city collaboration. And in addition to that, they introduced this to Danang, and that was well received. And then it has been introduced to Ho Chi Minh as well. So this is one of the success cases in JCM, and we're talking about this in various venues. Also, high efficiency amorphous. This is spreading in Vietnam and also spread to Laos, to another country. So the superior environmental technology that Japan has is now being disseminated in these countries, and JCM is supporting such developments. For JCM, Ministry of Environment has a subsidy system, but in addition to that, there are several funding schemes to support that. So it works through international organizations. So one through the Asian Development Bank. So we contribute to the ADB and support is provided from that fund. So within ADB projects, if there are decarbonization technologies that have not seen wide adoption, we provide support that it will be adopted. So for that additional cost, support will be provided, financial support, that is. So this is one example, smart grid system introduction in the Maldives, high efficiency energy management system, and high performance storage batteries are being introduced. So we provide support through the contribution to ADB. So the conventional technology part that will be supported by funding from the ADB. So this allows the most advanced technologies to be introduced. So we make a contribution to the fund at the ADB for that. And so pilot project for support throughout the whole hydrogen supply chain is also being undertaken. So in Australia, green hydrogen is produced that's carried to Indonesia and utilized there. So bottom is an example of green hydrogen made in Australia, carried to Palau to be used there. So it's a pilot project base. In the future, hydrogen-related JCM should be realized. So this is aiming for that. So it's not decarbonization, but concerning water environment, we have model project. So Japan has strong water treatment technologies, so we support the dissemination of that overseas. So in Indonesia, treating industrial wastewater, we have the Japanese advanced aerator to enhance the efficiency of wastewater treatment, and also power consumption can be reduced, and that will help to reduce CO2. So there are co-benefits, and we provide support to such an endeavor. And also for waste, we support the dissemination of recycle society, and so we support feasibility study. And in Malaysia, there is FS for cement alternative, and then there is the RPF production feasibility study in Vietnam at the bottom, and there are many other FSs that we support regarding waste. Since 2 years ago to last year, methane emission reduction has garnered attention. So there's the global methane pledge. So US and EU has led that international effort. Japan is participating. By 2030, globally, 30% reduction is aimed for. So to contribute to that goal, we have this Fukuoka method technology born in Japan. And so we are supporting the dissemination of that overseas to conduct demonstrations, and working with ADB and UNIDO, making contributions to them, and also utilizing JCM. We support the projects, and also we acquire or we try to obtain JCM credits. So these are new projects that we are supporting. So this, I think, is the last one. The supply chain as a whole needs to reduce CO2, and we need to have circulation of resources in society. and there is heightened awareness about that. So there is the ESG finance spreading. So for supply chain as a whole, they're trying to work on disclosing the climate-related information, the non-financial information. So Ministry of Environment, we have this disclosure system based on that experience, which supporting establishing the calculation and reporting system in Asia. And also we have superior technology. So for critical mineral recovery, we want to strengthen that overseas. For critical minerals, strengthening recovery and recycling, that is becoming more important from decarbonization perspective as well. So that's where Japan wants to strengthen its efforts. And we would like to collaborate well with the international society to promote those activities. So that was a rushed presentation, but I talked about the Ministry of Environment's initiatives working around cities, what the international cooperation we are doing, and how we're supporting private companies to deploy abroad. So I talked about such environmental policies. And as I mentioned, we work with JICA and other parties. We talk and have dialogue with them so that we can have a more impactful support to the developing countries. And we want to make sure that the technologies owned by Japanese companies are introduced in those markets well. And so I look forward to your continued feedback and support. Thank you very much.
You, Mr. Mizutani. Now I'd like to ask Yokouchi-san to come to the podium. Thank you for that introduction. I am from the city of Yokohama. My name is Yokouchi from the International Affairs Bureau. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. So today I'm going to be talking about international cooperation project through public-private partnership in Yokohama. And so this effort is actually what's backed up a lot from JICA as well as the Ministry of Environment. And so I'd like to take this opportunity as well to express my gratitude to them. So today I'll be talking about Japanese technology and international cooperation, especially the public-private partnership area. And also, I like to talk about the backdrop to why Yokohama City wants to promote this type of international cooperation. So we have close to 4 million people in terms of the population. So this is the second largest city next to Tokyo from the 60s to 70s to 80s. We actually faced a huge environmental issues, rapid urbanization. We started from about 1 million people, which grew to 4 million in a very short amount of time. And so we experienced traffic congestion, air pollution, water pollution, inappropriate discard of disposed waste. So these have impacted the health and livelihood of the people in the city. So with that as a backdrop, Yokohama have been promoting urban infrastructure development to solve these issues. So tap water coverage, sewage management, and making the road constructions, also subways, and also a hygienic landfill, and also for waste, not just making incinerators, but we've asked the citizens and companies to proceed with separation and recycling so that the amount of waste itself could be reduced. So this is the current Yokohama, just a few examples of the city, and you can see that the citizens are enjoying this. We want to make sure that that continues. Also, for people outside of Japan, we want to maintain our position as a city where people want to visit. So we have actually experienced a lot of issues that we were able to solve. And it's not just know-how from the government, the local government, but when it comes to creating foundational infrastructure, we had borrowed a lot from the private sector as well in terms of their technology. So we would like to create a something like a package, a knowledge package, experience package that we can export overseas. And we're calling this YPort. So Yokohama partnership of resources and technologies. So that's what YPort stands for. So we are now aggressively promoting this. So this YPort project itself, how are we promoting it? So first, let me talk about the structure. So initially, when we started this, we have a framework called Whiteboard Center, and this was created in 2017. And the structure is shown in this diagram here. The yellow oval part, these are the core members. So Yokohama City and CYO is CityNet Yokohama office. And so this is an extensive network of cities with around the Asia Pacific. So 163 city members belong to CYO. Maybe IGES and then USA are also core members. So USA is actually composed of company members that are located in Yokohama. We have more than 30 member companies, and I'm going to elaborate more on USA in the next slide. So these are the core members. And then we've got JICA, the Japanese government, and World Bank, ADB. So we have these international institutions as well, where we have alignment agreement with. And so there is this structure in place to promote this scheme. So USA is something that I touched upon earlier. And these are the member companies. And so there are many companies taking part. So companies that have water treatment technologies, those that have waste management technology, recycling technology. So these are small to medium businesses in Japan that have a wealth of knowledge there. And then ESG investment coming from the banks and then utility companies, construction companies. So we have these memberships from companies from all types of industry, and they make up the Yokohama Urban Solution Alliance. So in light of the various issues that come from overseas, we can provide a solution by combining various types of technology. So that's kind of the goal of this YUSA. So in 2017, YUSA and the city of Yokohama entered into a cooperation agreement. So they are a very important member who is working with us to push this YPort initiative. And let me further talk about YUSA. So last year in July, they opened 3 offices overseas in Bangkok, Da Nang, and Cebu. So with those overseas offices as a hub, they are now engaging in support of local member companies. So from here, I would like to talk about the YPort initiative itself and what are the cities we work with, what are some of the outcomes that we've been able to achieve. First of all, the flow of this project. So starting with the city-to-city cooperation. So this is a G2G relationship building with an overseas city. So we start from there, and then we engage with them to support in the master planning of their city. And then we go into more detailed action planning, and then going into feasibility studies, thinking about specific technology that can come in and maybe do demo studies. So this is a part that private sector companies will handle. And then we've got the pilot project. So this is from upstream to downstream. So the city of Yokohama, YUSA, and the member companies will cooperate together in this long-term initiative to bring things about. And these are major activity areas: Bangkok, Da Nang, and Cebu. So with these 3 cities, in 2012 or 13, around this time frame, we were talking about a sustainable urban development, and we entered into an MOU on technical cooperation to do that. We've been referred to them by JICA, and so we decided to create a long-standing relationship with them. And so that's been ongoing for some time. And also with regard to smart city development, we're getting some private sector companies from overseas contact us on that. And especially YUSA will be the main counterpart to respond to those requests. And so through various initiatives, we have had a lot of examples of operationalization. When I say operationalize, this means that the overseas companies will order or place order with the companies in Yokohama. So that is what we call operationalize. So for example, in the waste area, there have been all of these areas that have been operationalized: the water area, sludge treatment, wastewater treatment. So various types of projects that have been operationalized. In the next slide as well. So you can see energy saving support and various technologies related to energy, environment. So we have had 19 projects that have been operationalized. So the feasibility study and demo studies that led up to here, we count 73 cases. And we've gotten support from JICA. Ms. OKUMOTO was talking about some example of the SMB support scheme. So we utilize that. And also we utilized the urban collaboration scheme provided by the Ministry of Environment.
So let me move on to the initiatives for each city one by one. First is Da Nang, Vietnam. In Da Nang City, in March last year, towards 2050, they aim at carbon neutrality. That commitment was made by the Da Nang City government. And towards that goal, we decided to work together. So with the cities to city collaboration scheme of the Ministry of the Environment, we are working on the JCM projects. And together with the JICA and the USA, together with the private sector companies for energy saving and waste management and sludge management, we are promoting surveys and technological cooperation. These are some of the examples of commercialization. And Osumi, that is a private sector company in Yokohama City, they have set up a local company entity in Da Nang to provide a simplified energy saving service and a diagnosis service. From there, using the Ministry of the Environment scheme, a survey or investigation was conducted, and that led to the high efficiency pump introduction as a JCM scheme project from Yokohama. Furthermore, for energy saving as a starting point, today in the industrial park in Da Nang City, they are trying to come up with a eco industrial park with the introduction of various renewable energy and energy saving facilities. Not only that, for the waste management and the sludge management, and other efforts are being made in that industrial park. So they're aiming at this eco industrial park that would promote the decarbonization of Da Nang City as a whole, as well as a positioning of Da Nang City as an advanced model city in the environmental area. That's the vision that they have in working on the Eco Industrial Park project. So in Philippines, Cebu, this is another example. This is in collaboration with JICA. Yokohama City is promoting this. First, in the Metro Cebu area, we are trying to formulate the medium to long-term urban development vision, which is a mega Cebu roadmap, which has been already formulated. So based on this medium to long-term plan, at the moment, the user member companies for the organic waste management and waste plastic recycling, they are conducting some studies and actual enterprises. And also they are trying to construct large-sized waste management facilities. And also on the local side, there are various different needs. And by understanding those, they are trying to provide material recycling, wise use of water, and also disaster prevention facilities. And so they are trying to come up with a packaged solution and trying to propose that to the Cebu city authorities. This is the environmental and the waste management area efforts in Cebu. The Yokohama company, Kabushiki Gaisha or Boon Corporation, for the waste plastic recycling plant, they have already constructed this, and this is in operation using the JICA support scheme. And for the construction of the plant, they used the subsidy program from the Ministry of the Environment to operate this plant. Under the COVID-19 pandemic, infectious and medical waste management became a major issue in the local area. So they are trying to come up with a facility to sterilize those waste and the company is providing these facilities to medical facilities in the city. So this kind of improvement in waste management, various initiatives are going on one by one. And at the moment, these are happening mainly in the central part of the Metro Cebu, but within the city, peripheral areas and local communities are getting interested in these projects. So we are trying to expand the scope and the coverage of different geographies within Cebu. And this is for sludge management. And Yokohama City company Amcon, using the feasibility demonstration project of Yokohama, they have conducted this work for the sludge final waste landfill site. And so in order to improve the septic tank sludge treatment, and they started, and now this is being done in grant aid, JICA grant aid project. And they will be actually moving on to the final design stage at the moment. And this is a project in Bangkok city. As earlier, Mr. Mizutani from the Ministry of Environment talked about the efforts with Bangkok, and with JICA and the environment, Yokohama City is working together on these projects. And we are conducting workshops, and there is great interest from the Bangkok side. Last year, we conducted this online event for carbon neutral as a workshop. More than 100 companies participated, and more than 20 from Japanese companies. So the use of actual technology is the aim of these workshops. So for YPort project, this shows the cycle that we use for the YPort projects. I won't go into the details today. For Asia Smart City meeting, every year, this is a conference Yokohama City is hosting. So in these conferences, we introduce YPort initiatives, as well as the efforts by private sector companies for the audience in Japan and overseas. And this year, we are hoping that we can have this conference face-to-face. Today, I talked about package type solution, but there are several package solutions on the home page, so please take a look. Finally, in the summer last year from overseas, we had visitors visiting Yokohama City from overseas. So going forward, we hope that we can have a more active flow of visitors for international cooperation. And together with the private sector companies, Yokohama City would like to support these activities. So that's all from myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yokouchi. We'll now like to move on to questions and answers. So we will have to narrow down to several because we have limited time. So question to Mizutani-san. So you talked about the cooperation with the JICA and you talked about the JCM. So is there any environmental field or technology country or region that you want Japanese companies to be active in going forward? Mr. Mizutani, please. Thank you for the question. So Japanese companies, well, what area do we want Japanese companies to be active in? So environmental field or the technology or region that you want Japanese companies to be active in? Yes, let's see. terms of field, maybe not our wishes, but it should be based on the needs of the partner country. So it's difficult to say uniformly, but each country is working towards decarbonization, and they have their own different positions and setting targets based on their conditions. And some countries not as ambitious as others, and sometimes we encourage them to be more ambitious. And of course, then new countermeasures will be introduced. So generally speaking, the field of decarbonization, it has a lot of potential going forward. That can be said. But at the same time, as I said at the end, it's not just a decarbonization. Nature-based solutions is another example. So it contributes to decarbonization, but also to biodiversity and the development of sinks. So for critical minerals, I talked a bit about that. So in pursuing decarbonization, digital solutions can be utilized, and rare metals demand will increase. How to secure those resources will be an issue. And so refining technology can be used, and maybe we can have an international framework for recycling. So that kind of circulation and its synergy with decarbonization, that perhaps is an area where there could be more efforts and there will be greater need. And Japanese companies have advantages in many of those areas. And so that is where we would like to see and like to have more cooperation with those companies. Thank you, Mr. Mizutani.
Next, we have a question to Mr. Yokouchi. So, from the experience of the insights of Yokohama City, what were the difficulties in sharing this with your partner cities? Thank you for the question. Yes, what difficulties we had? Well, many of them I experienced. Well, I would say the area of communication. You know, whatever the issue is, we can solve through communication. And especially when I focus on this communication with the overseas cities, we had the COVID pandemic, so we had to go online. That was accelerated. So there were actually benefits of people going online. But with that said, you know, well, because we can't face each other, some things would have been more simply or easily solved if we were able to face each other, but it didn't happen during the pandemic. And then I think things are getting better since last summer. But before that, it was really tough to communicate. So I'm sorry, this is a very general kind of answer to your question, but that is my reply. Thank you. Thank you, Yokochi-san.
So it's time to close this session. Thank you very much for your participation. We will take a 10-minute break.